After managing nearly $9 billion in real estate development across 4 continents, I've discovered one procurement strategy that consistently saves us millions. I've tested it across live, real-world projects ranging from $1 million renovations all the way up to $500 million master plans throughout my 15 years of real-world project execution experience. This technique was crafted over years of intense development and refinement, but today it's a simple, repeatable system that anyone can use. And it's helped our development clients save millions when building trust-based supplier relationships that last beyond the build. Every single leader we've taught this to has applied the steps and seen instant financial returns, and have left the fixed mindset ones who think they know too much for this to ever work for them in their dust every single time. In the next 11 minutes, we will give you a step-by-step procurement power hack that saves so much time, so much money and stress that you'll feel like you've done something illegal, which you can apply to your project tomorrow morning to drive down risk, protect your margin, and win long-term in procurement. So first off, what is procurement? Procurement is not purchasing. It's not emailing 3 suppliers or contractors and picking the cheapest one. Procurement is the strategic process of selecting, managing, and partnering with suppliers in a way that maximizes value, reduces risk, and protects the integrity of your project over its entire life cycle. In real estate development, it makes it one of the most important and most misunderstood levers of success, because procurement isn't about price, it's about control of time, control of cost, and control of the quality of your project. Imagine real estate development as a game of chess, and every procurement decision influences the entire board. Choose the wrong partner, miss a critical delivery, or chase the lowest bid without thinking 3 moves ahead, and you're not just surrendering a piece, you're losing control of the game. McKinsey found that in large construction projects, on average, 21% went over schedule and 83% went over budget, and the major cause was procurement missteps, poor specs, unclear vendor roles, and weak contractual obligations. So if your procurement process is weak, you're placing up to 80% of your project's budget at significant risk. Procurement is the strategic process of sourcing and managing suppliers to deliver the right quality at the right time at the best total cost of ownership across the entire project. Step number 2 is ensure you're doing best practice processes. Procurement is more than vendor selection. It's your first line of defense against project failure. Every supplier choice carries inherent risk to your timeline, to your budget, to your quality. The best developers focus on 3 protection processes. The first is thorough pre-qualification. Assess the financial stability and the capacity of the companies that you're looking to partner with. The second is supply chain diversity. Maintain backup vendors for critical components. Have a plan B. And the third is contractual safeguards. Implement performance bonds and retention clauses, penalties if they don't achieve the agreed goals. Remember, risk lives downstream. Strong procurement processes catch problems before they reach your site, protecting your project's timeline, budget, and success. Remember, think 3 moves ahead. Now let's talk about procurement power hacks that you can use for guaranteed success. Imagine if 3 small tweaks to your procurement process could save your next project from complete disaster and protect your margin by 6 figures or more. Here are power hacks that our most successful clients use every day. Simple, sharp, and shockingly effective. Let's break down the 3 that you can apply immediately. Hack number 1 is to tie payments to performance milestones. Never pay for progress, pay for results. Instead of monthly progress payments, link contractor and supplier payments to clear deliverable dates. For example, all windows will be installed and sealed and signed off by the client by June the 1st, at which point $80,000 will be released to the contractor. If you want a lever to pull to move things faster on your project, add a 5 to 10% retention that will only be paid after snags and quality inspections are cleared. This works because it aligns cash with completion. It creates a proactive urgency for the suppliers to complete to the quality and on time. To implement this specifically, write the milestones into contracts with dates, deliverables, and penalties for any delay. You'll see delivery performance improve almost instantly. Hack number 2 is to always have a backup vendor. We mentioned this earlier, and it's so important. Think of it as procurement insurance. If your tile supplier ghosts you, or your steel fabricator shuts down, what's your plan B? Great developers pre-vet backup suppliers for every critical item, just in case. For key items, we sometimes split orders between 2 vendors or negotiate standby agreements. This works because when disruption hits, and it inevitably does, you're not scrambling. You've already got an escape route, a plan B. To implement this specifically, for each of your packages, ask, if our main supplier fails, what are the implications and who do we call next? Then get a vendor on standby immediately. Hack number 3 is to vet your suppliers like you're hiring a CFO. Would you hire an exec without checking references, financials, or legal history? Then why do it with a $1 million trade partner? Create a due diligence checklist of a financial health review, a licensing and insurance checks, litigation history, safety records, and past project references. This works because it keeps risky partners out before they ever have a chance to create problems. Again, to implement this specifically, use a pre-qualification checklist and form. If a vendor's offended by the process or requirement, they probably weren't a good fit to start with anyway. Just so you know, we have over 100 plus templates, checklists, and tools to completely master the procurement process end to end in the link in the description below that we use on every project that has everything we've discussed already today in a done for you format that will save you hundreds of hours and millions on current or future projects. But back to our hacks. And each of these hacks is low cost, high impact, and they won't slow you down. They'll make sure you stay on track. Don't just react to risks, outthink them in advance. Stay 3 steps ahead. And finally, the one big idea for today's video is the total cost of ownership. If you remember one thing from this entire video, let this be it. Always focus on the total cost of ownership, not just the upfront price. Because in procurement, the cheapest option upfront is rarely the cheapest option in the long run. For example, in the early 2000s, developers across the US installed Chinese drywall because it was cheaper. It later turned out that it was completely toxic, corroded wires, caused monumental health issues, and forced full internal gutting and renovations of very large projects. The cleanup across the US alone was up to $25 billion. One bad procurement decision multiplied 100,000 times. The total cost ownership means evaluating how long will your project and materials last. What if it fails? What will this really cost me in time, money, and reputation? And it's not about gold plating everything. It's about smart value engineering. For example, pay slightly more for a reputable contractor and reduce the chance of legal or safety issues. Or choose efficient HVAC now and lower the tenant complaints, lower the energy use, and lower the replacements for the next decade. Total cost ownership thinking is what separates developers who protect their margin from those who bleed slowly and painfully over time. Those who build solid reputations and those who become known as complete cowboys. Cheap now is often expensive later. Total cost ownership is the mindset that saves projects, careers, and businesses. Remember, you're building shelters for people to live, work, and use for such a vast portion of their lives. Have respect for the craft and what you're adding to the world. It matters. Your project's legacy will be set and solidified throughout the procurement process. So let's wrap it up with the 3 key takeaways for this video. Procurement isn't admin, it's a proactive strategy. Treat it like design or finance. It's central to success, not just a support function. Number 2 is clear specifications are your best defense. Precision up front presents chaos later. And finally, total cost ownership always beats upfront saving. What looks cheap today might be painfully expensive tomorrow. When you face a tough call, ask yourself, will this still look like a smart decision in 5, 10, or 20 years time, and act accordingly. So that's it, guys. If you've enjoyed this video, then watch this one here, where we go into full detail around the 7 steps and stages of procurement. Let me know below, what's the biggest procurement pain point that you've ever faced? Missed deliveries, disputes, scope changes. Let's open it up. You're not alone. Let's learn from each other. Thanks for your time, guys. And until the next one, I'm Toby.